So this is the summary for the day of 546 for the 23rd of August. So I want to just do some conclusion about the entire weird happenings around Ukraine. So first I'll start off with, again, back to Prigozhin. Prigozhin was last seen in the video. He was in Africa, and this is the reason why at the beginning, when I first heard of all this information, I haven't dig into the sources. My original first reaction is that it's unlikely to be true because he was in Africa, but then we have this name list, we have all the list of the list leaders, and it's being published on official Russian media, big Russian medias. So this actually put things into very not here not there situation. Russia is a very weird place, and it's very hard to predict what Russia does because there is a lot of unusual divisions and things happening in Russia. For example, in Wagner's mutiny, they basically largely drive towards Moscow uncontested, except for some helicopter strikes, some air strikes on the convoy, which they also shot down the helicopter. There's largely no fighting. That is weird on its own. And then we have, then when they gave up, Prigozhin and the leaders even met Putin himself, and they were given an opportunity to go to Belarus. And then we see Prigozhin flying all the way to Africa, and yet he now died in Sver. Basically it's like, telling someone to write a story, and then the story does not leak very well. So there is all sort of discussion or opinions about how these are all fake. Like the mutiny is all planned just to to create this sense of deniability. So when Prigozhin appeared at the African summit with Russia, that is a surprising thing. He appeared in Africa, that is even more surprising to me. And then he suddenly died in Russia, that just doesn't link. The whole story just weird. Could this be fake, and could this be just yet another attempt to create more deniability that all these top leaders are now dead officially? But of course, the death is still not official just yet. There's no official information about their death, but could it be used to create a deniability, so that they can then operate freely in Africa as shadows or ghosts, or a totally different identity? We have no idea. The same thing, just yesterday I reported about Surovikin getting suspended from the special military operation, and he will be moved into or transferred to a different department. And I hypothesize that he might actually be transferred to command some forces over in the African region, because that only makes sense. Or some of the comments you all wrote that maybe he will be transferred back to Syria because Syria is starting to get hotter again. That could also be possible, because Surovikin used to manage the operation over in Syria. So but then when this happened, then that put into question, would Surovikin actually be permanently taken out of service? Because if this death is real, then Putin's backlash against all these betrayers, which Putin did mention before, he don't like betrayers, could actually be deadly. And I have no idea what is exactly happening. So I do urge everyone to just wait for more confirmed information. For example, confirmation of the death of Prigozhin, confirmation of the identity of the people who died. And of course, we will definitely look out for information about Surovikin, whether he will be redeployed to anywhere, or would there be even any news about him. So all this is very hard to predict, because Russia so far, from my monitoring and reporting of the Ukraine war so far for this entire year and a half, I find Russia extremely hard to predict. They seem to be very conservative a lot of the time. Then suddenly they will do something very drastic that you never expect them to do. And then when you expect them to do something very drastic, they will do nothing, even at the expense of losing face, losing prestige. So no, Russia is weird. But I also want to highlight, I did mention during my reports about this mutiny, I mentioned that if the mutiny is real, I say that Prigozhin have overstepped the line. He has overplayed his cards. And if this death is accurate, and that this is indeed an assassination attempt by the Russian state against these betrayers, these people who have broke the trust of the state, then I will be correct that he indeed have overplayed his cards, and now he's dead. So that could also be very likely. As I mentioned, Russia is a very, very powerful country. It's a huge country with massive bureaucracy, and the last thing you need or you want in a very massive country with huge bureaucracy is dissenters or people who do not follow the game rules. Because if you break the system, the entire country can collapse. And Prigozhin being a very blunt person, a bit like me, like to find trouble. Yeah, that basically might be the death of him. So this is a extremely shocking news. And but honestly, him dying is not something that shocks me. Him dying near Moscow is what shocks me, because I thought he was in Africa. So anyway, that's what it is. And now another issue I think is big is this naval strike on the Russian SAM site over in Crimea. So there is these are established SAM sites that you can see. These are all military bases in this area here. You can see all these are military bases, and basically there's a lot of SAM sites and missile sites over in this area here around Olenivka. And for the Ukrainians to send speedboats, wrong color, speedboats, and fire at Russian targets from the sea changes the game. If you ask me, this is a game changer. The more game changer than HIMARS, to be honest. No, this is game changing, because this creates a new security challenge for the Russian forces, and the Black Sea Fleet will have to make tough decisions on how to defend this coastline. And would the Air Force be the one to do it? Would it be the army with drones, or will it be the Black Sea Fleet's duty? These are going to be very hard decisions for the for the Russian forces, because any Russian vessels moving in this area might put themselves into danger of Ukrainian naval strikes, missile strikes. And the Ukrainians have, I believe, a few of these surface-to-surface missiles that have pretty good range, which is why the Black Sea Fleet have largely stayed away from the Ukrainian coastline. And so far, it looks like some of these some of these oil rig over here has already been taken over by Ukrainian forces. And one of these video footage actually shows that the Ukrainian forces are actually moving around. They're sailing around the oil rig, even fire a surface-to-air missile from a manpad against some aerial targets. So we are not sure exactly what is the situation like over just off Crimea. But like I mentioned before, the speedboats does change things, and if the Ukrainians are able to secure the waters around here, then they will open themselves opportunity to do amphibious operations, to force Russian Navy to enter this area here, and then they can actually fire at this Black Sea Fleet. It's gonna be a it's a gambit. Basically, it's like chess. It's like a queen's gambit. Although I'm not very clear about what is a queen's gambit, but no, it's a queen's gambit. So basically, yeah, it's pretty tricky situation for the Russian side. Other things like all these continuous amphibious operation around Kherson region, nothing really much to talk about. Then we goes to Robotyne. The Ukrainian forces have already claimed actually only on the pro-Ukrainian side. The official Ukrainian Defense Ministry have not claimed the capture of Robotyne. Deep State U and Dnipro Osin, both pro-Ukrainian sources, have declared Robotyne as captured. However, Miroshnikov don't. Miroshnikov said exactly what I said, that it is not officially proclaimed as captured, and he thinks that by celebrating the capture of Robotyne actually harms the soldiers. I believe it's psychologically harmed. You know, they will have psychological damage or emotional damage, because if you're on the fort, you're the ground troops, and you are actually in Robotyne and you're still struggling to survive and fight for your life, and then but you see your handphone and everybody is celebrating about you capturing Robotyne, but yeah, you still have not. It might have morale problems, which is why, you know, Miroshnikov made a good claim. And most significantly is that the Russian side have totally ignored this entire incident. They have not acknowledged at all. Reports from the Russian side still continue to claim the fighting is at Robotyne. I'm not sure if they are just coping, or that this is actually the reality. We will know in the next few days whether the Russians will start to concede, and we have more evidence of the Ukrainian forces in Robotyne itself. But important to note is that the flag is in the southern side along this L-shaped building, and this does show that the fighting was in the southern side of Robotyne, with the Ukrainians able to come to this area to plant the flag. But most likely they will actually withdraw back to more secured lines after planting the flag, and because the Russian forces are definitely still very nearby, and all this area here can be, you know, under fire control. So yeah, that's the situation at Robotyne. Uruzaine wise is looking like a stalemate. It looks like the Russians indeed still have these positions around here, especially with this geolocation by Dnipro Osin, and even Dnipro Osin only shows the Ukrainian have positions up to this area here, Dnipro Osin. So definitely the Ukrainians are still fighting just off Uruzaine, but no doubt they have most of the control of Robotyne. And other important situation, I would say, let me see, nothing. Donetsk region is the similar things. Adivka region is similar things. Nothing much to talk about. Fighting at Myos is interesting. We will continue to monitor this. However, over at Klishchiivka, I think Klishchiivka is getting a bit critical. As the Ukrainian forces continue to be attacking within Klishchiivka as well as Andriivka, they're putting a lot of pressure on the Russian side. We will continue to see how this goes. The battle of Klishchiivka has been ongoing for a very, very long time, to and fro. The front line keep moving up and down. We shall continue to see how this goes. Interesting information, I would say, over at the northern part of the Bakhmut front would be the Ukrainians are moving back their front line, showing that the Russians indeed have secured the front line around Yakhine and Berkiivka. So this is Berkiivka over here. So they indeed have secured this front line around here. So, you know, so that's why you see he's very happy. So and then it's a year. The otherwise Crimea front, the usual, the Ukrainians are still on their Crimea offensive. The Russians are still on their Kupiansk offensive. Sinkivka is still not captured. This is definitely still not captured. And then interesting, I would say, is the fighting starting again over at Novoyehorovka. So suddenly both sides, both defense ministries, Russia and Ukraine, both claim fighting at Novoyehorovka on the 23rd of August. We shall continue to see whether this will end up to be some massive battle. As for this defection, my gut feeling, so this defection, too many information, be it a more pro-Ukrainian view or be it a more pro-Russian view, both have a lot of weird stuff. If it's really a defect, it don't make sense that the families are able to reach Ukraine. I don't think they are able to reach Ukraine. If the families will leave Russia, or clearly the Russian Defense Ministry have would know that these are the family of the pilot, they will be suspicious. This pilot will not be able to fly. And also there's no way for Russians to actually reach Ukraine. There is no easy way, and Russian passport would not be able to enter Ukraine. So I'm not sure how would the family ever reach Ukraine at all. And the claim was that the Ukrainians even landed in the Russian pilot even landed in Ukraine with spare parts for this Sukhoi 27 and Sukhoi 30, which I don't think the Ukrainians operate Sukhoi 30. Do they? I cannot remember. So basically, I'm not sure. And the claims that he got lost also feels a bit weird. Why would he get lost after flying for so long in this area here? You probably can know, for pilots, they are probably very used to this geography around the area here, and to fly all the way to Potova, that's a bit far, to be honest, to fly in the wrong direction and not get shot down by surface to air missile. So that on both ways, they are weird they are weird part. So we will not be able to tell what is the truth. The only reality we know is that this helicopter indeed have landed in the Kharkiv region in Ukraine, and there are seemingly signs of fighting, which is probably the two crews that was being mentioned. There are blood being shown on one of the photos, so that's probably what it is. And otherwise, we have no idea what exactly is the situation. And yeah, so that sums up the conclusion. A pretty long one because it's a very weird day. So thank you for watching. Do press the like button, subscribe, and do let me know what you think. What is your conspiracy theory about Prigozhin, about this defection, the naval strike? Oh my god, and of course Robotyne. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next update.